Alright guys, so we're going to be working with this handout here called the Mapmaker 101, Become a Cartographer. And let's just go ahead and jump right in. We're going to be doing a little sketch work for our map design that we're going to be coming up with. So let's see what number 1 says right here. Number 1 says, on your paper, begin with the land masses you wish to map. It says, I suggest a large island or continent, that would be this right here, with some kind of smaller lands. And you can see on the edges I've placed different lands, but you don't have to do it exactly this way. Leave the rest as sea space. Add rivers, roads, and villages. Alright, so let's do that first. So I'm going to come over here to my sketchbook here. And remember, this is just a sketch. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to, very important, especially for this project, to make our rectangle. This is going to be the active area of our map. And I'm going to have my map go up and down here. I'm going to put a little rectangle down here. That's going to be my key. The key tells you what all the different landmass features are. I'm going to draw a little box around that key. I'll add some details to that later on. So for instance, if we have some wavy lines like this, that could be a river. If we have 3 little lines like this, that is a swamp. And if we have 2 lines like this and maybe some crisscrossing lines, that could be a road. Now you can add more things to your key. This is just a sketch, so it's like, sort of like a warm-up drawing. So I might expand on this, redo it later on. We also need to have, and this is not in step 1, we're going to get to this in step 2, but I'm kind of planning out where the features of my map are going right now. We need to have a compass that shows us which way is north. And of course, because this way is north, this must be south, this must be east and west. And I'm just making this up as I go along. I'm just guessing. This isn't a real place. So maybe we have one big island here, or it could be a continent like Australia or Antarctica or South America, but it's not connected to anything. South America is connected to another land. There could be the edge of another continent or an island over here up to the left. Maybe another smaller island nearby. And guys, we're really using spontaneous drawing here, so it could be anything. Maybe there's another larger continent here. Now it says in the directions, it says, let me make sure you can see that. It says, I suggest a large island or continent. We did that. With some smaller lands, we did that. Leave the rest as sea space. Okay, so I won't draw any more continents. Add rivers, roads, and villages. Okay, so this is where it's going to get really interesting. So first, let's just make a little river here. And rivers can zig and zag in all different sorts of ways. A river has tributaries. It has little rivers that come off of it. Sometimes it even has big rivers that connect to it. Like maybe there's another river right here. But these tributaries are these little areas. They go in between maybe communities or mountains or other land features. Speaking of mountains, I'm going to put some mountains right up here. And I'm just going to really simply just draw a wavy line like this. And I'm using overlapping, so I have some shapes in front of the other, like this mountain is in front of these two, because I've used overlapping. Over here I'm going to draw a big tower. And maybe this tower is the gate of a city. So I could label this with a city name. Maybe put a flag on top. That really means that it's a city if there's a flag on top. You don't usually fly a flag unless you're in a city or a country. Just have some details here. We can add a road that leads to this city. And I'm just using I can also add mountains to my key. I'm going to abbreviate that. This is just a sketch, of course, so I'll have a final drawing later on my antiqued paper. That just means that it looks really old. But remember, our road had those crisscrossing lines, so maybe there's a road that comes from one continent and goes across. It could be a channel or some kind of intercoastal waterway like what we have here in Melbourne. You know, you go over the bridge. So here's a bridge. It's just a road that goes over the water, but I'm going to put some pylons underneath it. Another thing that it says in the directions is to add villages. Villages can just be really simple. Maybe a group of houses. Maybe we're not trying to draw every single house that's in that village, but just the grouping of houses represents or symbolizes the village. That could be. And maybe there's a swampland here. Since we're in between two rivers, it could get a little swampy here. It's a floodplain, as they say, where the land fills up with water when the river floods, gets overflowed. We can also add forests. Now, I like to draw trees by just drawing sort of a wobbly line and then two lines sticking out underneath. And I'll go back in and shade those later or add details to them, but there's a little forest by the sea right here. Speaking of which, maybe there's some boat docks on one side of your island. You gotta have ways for boats to get there. Draw a little boat. The map's looking pretty good so far. Maybe there's some beaches over here. Some more buildings. Some tall towers maybe. Maybe there's another small town right here. And draw a road going to that town. Coming down from the main road. So all of these are just ideas to get your map started. For water, you can do wavy lines. You don't have to fill the whole area up with wavy lines. We get the idea that it's water just by adding a few here and there. Just simplifying. Maybe there's a little lighthouse on this island here. I like to draw lighthouses. It's an island coastal town. They need a lighthouse so they can see the boats come in. Boats come in here. Maybe there's more boats here. On the other side of the mountain, maybe a little fisherman boat. Alright, let's see what else it says in our directions. So it says a map has some key features. Compass, it has a key. We did that. We got the key. We got the compass. It shows direction. Oh, the compass shows directions, north, south, east, and west. We did that. We labeled it. Make sure you label your compass as well. We can have monsters and ships. We already drew some ships. Maybe I'll add some monsters. Buildings and castles. We added those. Houses, fences. Be sure to add these to your map. I suggest practicing them in your sketchbook before trying. We're doing that. Number 3. Your map should show your unique imagination. Try to think of the land you are mapping. What are its secrets? Does it have a dark forest? Secret lands where evil wizards reign? Does a dragon inhabit the mountains? Do pirates roam the oceans and rivers? After you have added every detail you can think of, then it's time to outline with a black marker. Now I know I'm doing this with a marker already, but you're sketching with a pencil. So once you're done sketching with a pencil, you can get a marker or you can borrow one from me and you can outline your map. Use very light watercolors to fill in your shape. We'll talk about that next time. But now what I want you to do is go back to your map. Think about any of the other things you didn't get to add. Maybe there's monsters, sea monsters, kraken. You can copy them straight off the handout. And get creative, have fun, and think of a name for your map. What is this place called? It could be your land.